A big week with a lot of gaming leaks for the Black Flag remake. A state of play is happening very soon. We got new rumors for the next God of War and a new Marvel games. A Ghost of Yotei update, just a ton of gaming news to go over. So good that you're joining the Sunday news roundup. And let's go. Yes, let's start with the Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag remake, the worst kept secret in the industry at this point, with even Edward's voice actor hinting at it. So this week we got a new video from French magazine JorRaptor, who according to them went to Ubisoft employees, cross-checked all the information that they got, and really believe that it's accurate. So I quickly want to go over some piece of info and then spend a bit more time on the things that have caused a bit of discussion, let's say. So first, this remake is planned for March 2026, which I think makes sense. That's the final month of Ubisoft's current financial year, and they want to launch a new paid Assassin's Creed game every financial year. Now, one source to JorRaptor thinks that it might get delayed to the end of 2026 because they still got quite some work to do, but that would really cause a huge ripple effect because then Yotei, that is now planned for holiday 2026, would be in 2027. It would basically move everything around, so Ubisoft is probably trying everything to get the game done in March. It will of course be running on the updated Anvil engine that we saw for the first time in Shadows. There will be no more loading screens from going from the ship to a city and the other way around. So similar to Odyssey, it should make exploration way more seamless. And then we get to the bigger changes. For one, according to this rumor, they are removing all the modern day segments from this game. Yes, the ones where they take you out of the pirate experience and you are forced to explore Abstergo in first person, and the gameplay is mostly just hearing people talk. So maybe you already noticed that I don't really mind this getting taken out. I know for many people it was the least exciting part of the game, but I also get that it's of course an important part of the Assassin's Creed franchise. But I would argue that having this in the remake in 2026 just would not make a lot of sense, because with Shadows, Ubisoft has kind of rebooted the modern day story. They want to tell that story now outside of the games in the new Animus Hub launcher. Although so far it is nothing more than a launcher, so I really hope they do something interesting with that. But yeah, it would be confusing if they still have the older interpretation of the modern day story in the Black Flag remake when they want to try something else. But I do hope that we then see something else around the launch of the Black Flag remake, so that it's not completely removed for the people who care about it. Now, according to JorRaptor, instead there will be 4 hours of extra content compared to the original, but this will focus on the pirate experience. So it seems like we're getting new stuff too, instead of things only being removed. But we don't know what this 4 hours of content is. Is it like a side story? Is it part of the main story? What we do know is that the smaller islands we can explore should be more exciting in this remake with more activities and loot. So exploring these should be more worth our time. And yes, I mentioned loot. Another big thing we learned is that the Black Flag remake will seemingly be closer to the recent RPG games in terms of inventory system. So it will probably look like this as well. And they will also do more with the weapon and equipment statistics. Now let me remind you that Black Flag already had stats for items to have a sense of some sort of progression. So I could see them just add a perk onto the items that were already in the game. Kind of like Mirage, to give each item more personality. I don't think they will add a full-on leveling system and like quality tiered loot or anything. We also learned that the combat should be closer to the RPG games instead of the counter-based gameplay we saw in the older titles, including Black Flag. I think that's a good call, as I like the combat from Origins onwards way more. But I do get that people are worried. And now we can have these discussions and you can be like, oh, I don't want this, etc. But I just think we have to wait and see. Let's see what they are actually doing before jumping to conclusions. I think them adding more depth to the first very simple gameplay could actually be a good thing. Again, let's wait and see, but I want to hear your thoughts, of course, already in the comments down below. A like on the video would also really help me out, and subscribe, because we post one of these big gaming news roundup videos every Sunday. We also got some new Ghost of Yotei information ahead of the reviews that are dropping on September 25th. You see the times right here. Just make sure you hit the bell notification so you see my story spoiler-free review. the moment it drops. I cannot wait to share my thoughts. Now this week Sony shared 3 new videos on the game, including a CGI trailer, but I in particular thought the interview with Brian Fleming, the director on the game and the co-founder of Sucker Punch, was very interesting. So this interview is from GameFile. For one, Ghost of Tsushima had 150 people inside Sucker Punch work on it at the peak, and for Yotei that was actually pretty similar, a relatively small team for a big open world game like this, but that also means that they can keep the budget down. So even though the cost of making games has increased, Yotei was made in less time than Tsushima, so Brian notes that the budget was actually kind of the same compared to Tsushima, which was reported at 60 million, which is insane. I posted this tweet to show you the jump for the other Sony sequels, so that really shows you that Sucker Punch being able to keep the cost low is huge, meaning that Ghost of Yotei will make an insane profit on day 1 already, even if we include marketing. They also note that the reason they went with a new character instead of Jin is because it did not really work for them in Infamous 2. It included many of the powers and moves that players learn in the first game, and therefore it asked a lot of new players early on. They also feel that an origin story for both the players seeing the open world for the first time and then meeting the character for the first time works the best. I think that's why Assassin's Creed, for example, works, because every game can be a jumping in point for everyone. While I know that more recently Horizon Forbidden West was hard for people to get into, like those who did not play the first game or forgot like certain parts of that game. So that's why they went with Atsu in Ghost of Yotei. And the last point was on multiplayer, so we know that the Legends co-op mode is returning for Yotei in 2026, but they note that Sucker Punch will not become a multiplayer studio and be focused on open world, third-person character action games in the future as well. Less than 2 weeks for Yotei now. I really can't wait for you to play. Again, hit the bell notification to not miss my spoiler-free review. Time for quick shots, news stories I want to go over quickly. Xbox is namely raising their hardware prices again, this time only in the US. They note it's because of the changes in the macroeconomic environment. Jeff Keighley on Twitter has the rundown. Series S now costs $400, up $20. Reminder, it was $300 at launch. Series X $650, up $50. It was $500 at launch. The digital only is up $50 as well to $600, and the 2TB Series X is now $800, up $70, so more expensive than a PS5 Pro with the same hard drive. If you need more proof that Xbox does not care about hardware anymore, well, here you have it. Xbox hardware sales have already been declining every quarter for a couple of years, with the 22% drop being the most recent, and again, that was following drops the year prior. At one point, they're like, okay, how many are you even selling? Are they only selling maybe 2 million Xboxes per year now? Something that Sony does in 3 months. But instead of wanting to increase that, Microsoft just wants to make sure they don't lose any money on the few consoles they do sell. It's clear that they're not competing with PlayStation anymore, and it makes the rumors that their next machine will be a super powerful PC with Steam that then functions as an Xbox console all the more likely. The price increase for the series consoles will go into effect on October 3rd. I of course already covered a huge leak looking at Black Flag, but we of course also have the rumor roundup where I look at the biggest leaks and rumors of the week and I give stars, with 3 being I believe it and 1 being let's take this with a huge grain of salt. We namely have one from Tom Henderson. He has a very good track record, as you know. He says that Kratos in the next mainline God of War game will have a curved Egyptian sword. So probably meaning an Egyptian khopesh that Tyr was actually using as well during our third encounter against him in the God of War Ragnarok Valhalla DLC. He notes it's another cherished weapon from his travels. Well, seems like Kratos will be able to use it too. Maybe also as a dual wield option like Tyr. That would be awesome. Now, I saw many Twitter accounts spin this as the next mainline God of War game will be in Egyptian setting, but Tom did not say this at all. He also notes on Twitter when responding to a different post that that is not what he said. I know this might be weird to people, but Kratos getting an Egyptian sword does not mean the game will have an Egyptian setting. Maybe not the best example, but in 2018 in Ragnarok he got Greek weapons, while the game was set in a Norse setting. Like, he could be getting the weapons from Tyr, who has already traveled to all these realms. Now, my theory is that there will totally be some Egyptian content in the next game, but that it won't be the primary setting. Maybe they will do multiple settings, but we just don't have to forget that the developer said, look at Tyr in Ragnarok, and he's doing meditation and all that sort of stuff that hints at an Asian mythology setting. So maybe Kratos gets more than one new weapon to really spice things up. I at least can't wait for this next game. Let me know your theories in the comments. 3 stars for the Tom Henderson rumor. He has a great track record. I think it's weird for him to note that Kratos has this sword if he did not see that somewhere. But again, him having an Egyptian Khopesh does not mean the game has only an Egyptian setting. Another rumor from PlayStation is in regards to the Venom Spider-Man 2 spin-off that is seemingly still in development. This from Multiplayer First, who also reports that Wolverine is aiming for a 2026 release. So we'll talk about that in a moment, but yeah, if you don't remember, this Venom title should be similar to Miles Morales in terms of scope, according to the Insomniac leak. But that leak also included Spider-Man 2 DLC that was later cancelled. This would include 3 drops, including a Beetle boss fight. Like, it was totally in the works. We have in-game proof after a dev menu found its way into Spider-Man 2, and later voice lines for this scrap mission were also found. But with that being cancelled, we thought, okay, maybe Venom is no more as well. But that does not seem to be the case, with 2027 as an aimed date, which also the rumored release window for the PlayStation 6. So maybe it will be similar to Miles Morales as a cross-gen launch game that really worked out for them the last time. But I just want them to take their time, make this as good as possible, because Spider-Man 2 should have been a slam dunk, but instead it left a sour taste in the mouth of many people, including myself, thanks to some of the story and gameplay choices. Still excited to see what they do next. I give 2 stars, however, as Multiplayer First has a fine track record, but not amazing. And yeah, maybe things change again, but we will find out soon enough if part 1 of the leak is true. Because yes, this coming week we are of course getting that state of play. It's still not announced at the time of this recording, but it should happen, because now also Nate the Hate noted on September 16th that it would be coming next week, so this coming week. And we had a substantial leak regarding the Wolverine trailer that was finished, so high chance that will take the PlayStation Studio slot that we now see at the end of every state of play. Although it could also be for the rumored God of War 2.5D Metroidvania type game that should be comparable to Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. This one should be set in Greece. So maybe they end with that, although I would argue that would be way less exciting than the other games Sony ended their previous state of plays with. As for other titles, we could see a Yakuza Kiwami 3 mention leaked on the developer's website, so it could show up. Stellar Blade has been teasing a collab, potentially with Resident Evil, for this coming week, or maybe the reveal will be this coming week. And yeah, those are kind of the level of announcements that I expect, so let's not expect a lot of big things. Although Wolverine should carry this show. We will be live reacting, so when the state of play is announced, you will see a countdown timer on the channel, so hope to see you there. Also this coming week is Tokyo Game Show starting this Thursday, and Capcom is doing a 40-minute long presentation the day before, featuring the games that you see here. I'm hoping for an Onimusha release date. As you might know, that was the best game that I played at Gamescom last month. And again, September 25th, the spoiler-free Ghost of Yotei reveal here on the channel. On the React channel, I will be doing my weekly gaming show on Monday, of course. Countdown timer in the video description. Just subscribe to not miss anything. A like would be awesome. And check out my recent video on the recent Assassin's Creed Shadows stuff that was added by clicking on the screen. I will speak to you soon. Goodbye.